so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with me and the NoCode Techies who are watching this video from their homes. It's amazing to be speaking to a fellow West African, fellow woman, fellow Black girl.
Hello.
And welcome. Before we get into it, can you just do like a brief intro about yourself?
Sure. My name is Stella Inabo. I am a content marketer at a software company called Float. I've been doing this for about 6 years. And by this, I mean helping businesses basically get customers and keep those customers using content, which could be anything from writing a blog post to making a video. So yeah, it's really interesting field.
Perfect.
I currently stay in Abuja, Nigeria. So yeah, I work remotely as well.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And we're gonna get deep into all of that anyway. So no worries if you wanted to learn more. But I
Sure.
do this thing when we start with all of our calls, like rapid fire questions. Three things that I ask everyone. One is what's your favorite email sign off? Two is what's your favorite morning beverage? And three is what's your favorite season? So let's go. Favorite email sign off.
Um, Probably when I'm on vacation, telling people to email someone else. So like Stella is on vacation or something. I know it's not a sign of, but just at the end of like my autoresponder, something like, "Oh, I'm not here, so text someone else." That is
Good.
my favorite sign
I
off.
like
Yes.
that. It's like please leave
Yeah.
me alone.
Yes. Yeah.
That I like that very much actually. What is your favorite morning beverage? What do you typically have in the morning?
I love tea. I love tea. I brew my own tea. I buy tea that is packed. I anything that is citrusy or maybe something with blackberry in it, I'm there. I'm there for it. I love tea in the
That's really
morning.
good. If you
Yeah.
were ever thinking of giving Stella a gift, tea is a good one.
Yes, tea, please. Tea. Yeah.
And what's your favorite season
Oh, so I live in Nigeria. We basically have two seasons, which is dry season and the
and
wet
rainy
season.
season? Yep.
Yes. So oh my God, don't make me choose. So I love rain, but then it spoils my plans and then my connection is not great because Starlink does not work when it's raining. So, ah,
It sounds like
I'm
that's a
gonna go with
favorite.
dry season. Yeah, I'm going to go with dry season.
No, I respect that.
Yeah,
I'm there with you. I like the rain or even the winter only if I'm inside, like most people.
exactly.
I need to be able to go
Yeah,
outside, so I like the dry season a lot, and I also like the summer a lot because, well, I'm used to the heat. But
yeah,
yeah, thank you for telling us that about you.
sure.
We're gonna go straight into it because all the questions I want to ask about you will still tie into what people can learn from that content marketing part of the conversation. So
Yeah.
I wanted to first talk about when you say content marketing, what are some signpost ideas to explain what it is?
Hmm.
Like if you could
So
explain it in three ideas, what is content marketing?
three ideas. So the first one is giving something helpful in order to receive people's trust. The second idea would be guiding, and you know what? There's one idea. It's not even three ideas. It's actually just one idea. Content marketing is basically giving educational or inspiring information to people to help them when they are trying to make a buying decision or before they're trying to make a buying decision to help the company that you are working with be the likely choice that they go with at the end. So it's basically helping people so that you help your company make money.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Um, yeah. I like to think of it that way anyway. Just so that I'm not like fueling consumerism or something.
No,
I'm
I
overthinking.
completely agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I also like to say that content marketing makes use of the reciprocity principle, like
Yes.
because we've done this and that and that and that,
Yeah, yeah.
say like, click on this subscribe button or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, then you
Yeah.
feel it's a bit easier for you to
Mm-hmm.
do that as a receiver or as a consumer.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's a very good, crisp way of saying it, people. Content
Yeah.
marketing is giving information, giving content, helping to guide buyers when they finally want to make a decision. So keep that in mind
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to get into content. So what does it
Yeah.
entail on a typical day?
Ooh, so it depends because content marketing is very wide, right? It just depends on like your company, and what they're focused on, and even where you're situated within the company. So I'm just going to give like an example of my own life because obviously that's what I know best. But a typical day for me is getting to my desk and then thinking of how to get information to people via a LinkedIn page, and then thinking of posts, thinking of strategy, thinking of the algorithms and how they're trying to frustrate me a lot of times. Even when I do my best, I do video content sometimes as well and distribute it through different channels. Some days I'm writing a blog post. Some days I am meeting with other teams trying to find out how I can support them with content. By other things, I mean sales, sometimes customer support, and even the product team, because I work in a software company, so they keep releasing like iterations of the product, and it's like, oh, we added XYZ new feature. We need to market it to people. What type of content can you help us with to get our users to find out about this feature? So it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of writing, it's also a lot of fun as well because depending on the team you're on, you're probably going to be able to play around with your wildest ideas. And I say this depending, and sorry, the depending on the team part is very important because some places are really like stuffy, but where I work, it's like you have an idea, it's not totally against brand, it's fun, go with it. Yeah, so it just lots of work across a variety of content formats. Some people are more specialized and then they just work on maybe video or they write. So it just depends. Yeah.
Okay, so if I want to summarize what you talked about, it sounds like from your personal experience, the day-to-day of content marketing is strategizing and thinking about what you're
Yes.
trying to achieve, then
Mm-hmm.
doing the actual writing or
Yes.
creating.
Yeah.
I want to say creating
Yes.
because it can be
Mm-hmm.
a script or a blog post or
Yes.
something, even like a LinkedIn post. And then,
Yep.
of course, collaboration. Because you
Yeah.
mentioned sales, you mentioned products, you mentioned, for
Yes.
instance, other marketing teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the
Yes.
little cherry on top that you talk about, which is the fact that you get to live your wildest, like fun
Yes.
ideas, of course, within reason, because usually it's in a business context. But if you're somebody who loves to strategize about how to reach people, if you're somebody who likes to collaborate with teams, and if you're creative in using all of that in that all of that creativity to reach people, then it looks like content marketing might be a good place for you. And I want to go a bit
Yeah.
deeper into that because like you said, some people specialize, and most of us
Mm-hmm.
are aware of things like blogs. Most of us are aware of
Yeah.
things like YouTube videos, and most of us are aware of things like Instagram. And we know all this to be content, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say I'm really good at making reels and my friends really love my Instagram post. Does that mean that I should probably get into content marketing? Or what, like, how does it differ when you're now doing it for a business?
So it's good that you brought that up because I was going to say, oh, I have a thing to add to like what it means to work in content day to day. Understanding the business and strategizing on how to promote the business through the content you're creating is very important. So when you're doing things, it's not just because you need to get a blog post out or you need to get a LinkedIn post out or be active so that the algorithm knows that you're there, right? It's that whatever piece that you're delivering, it somehow ties back to what the company is trying to achieve. Now, not all company goals are going to be something that content can influence, but most of them will be, like maybe 90% of them will be, right? So you are basically doing very strategic work, and when you are good at content itself, that's like the majority of what you need to get started is there. But I would always say that people should also look at some other things like, am I great at um strategizing, right? Because I bring up strategy a lot because that is so important. But if I'm great at reels, can I connect these reels to getting a sale? Because some people are good content creators, but then they might not be good content marketers. So you need to understand the business goals. You need to understand the audience interest. You need to understand the content types that they might engage with, and then bring in that message, that CTA into whatever you are creating. And then when you're able to tie all of those together, or when you're able to learn how to do that, because to be honest, it's something you learn along the way, then probably you'll be a very successful content marketer. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think the difference between a content creator and a content marketer in in the business world is definitely being able to make a connection to that final bottom line.
Mhm.
Like businesses are there for revenue, and so as much as you love the creating, they must always connect
Yeah.
to that. And I'm very glad that you
Yeah.
talked about that. But now let's talk about the thing that I think a lot of no-code techies are itching right now to find out. How did you get into it? How can
Hmm.
someone become a content marketer? Did you go to did you do a specific course? Like, how does one become a content marketer in tech?
Yeah. So I'll start with my own story, then move on to how other people can get into content marketing within the technology industry. I started writing a long time ago, so I think around 2018, right? I got my first chance to write for a business. Before that, I was already writing like everyday articles, poems, just stuff for myself. And then I started a blog. Someone connected me with a business that needed content. From there, I started freelancing for different people, just basically writing blog posts, right? And from there, I joined an agency and kept writing blog posts, which you'll find when you enter into content marketing, that's basically like 90% of what everyone is doing. And then after that, I went in-house and I was a content writer in first year. Um, and then I started doing other things where I was doing more than blog posts, and I was writing their LinkedIn content, and I was running customer interviews for them, and then writing case studies. And then
Hmm.
I started managing social media channels, and I currently added running webinars and writing the company newsletter to it. So it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
as you can see. And it also depends on where you go to work. So the place I am at, it's a very small team. They keep it very small. So like we have projects that we run every quarter. So that is why like I've done this many things. But going just like to summarize, I started in writing, and then as I got better now I understood marketing more, I moved into the creation of different types of content while tying that to helping the company achieve its goal of getting more customers. And one thing I want to highlight is that I took an interesting strategy some years ago and started understanding how like the pieces of content that I create were connected to larger business goals. I keep bringing this up because it's a huge problem and people need to know it from the beginning. You don't just create random pieces of content. It needs to be doing something. It might not be revenue directly, but it might be relationship building, it might be brand awareness, things like that. So if you are someone who wants to get started, I would, I know that content marketing is very wide and like content itself is wide. But one thing that I would say is you should learn how to write. Even if you're not going to be writing blog posts, right? You need that ability to communicate through like the written format is so important because even if you're doing video, except like your company is like really big and has a lot of resources, you're probably going to be writing those video scripts. You also need to communicate what you're doing, analyze things, and then tell people, oh, this is why XYZ is good for us. So writing is a very important skill. And also when you enter into a lot of teams. You actually just start as a content writer and then you go into different uh paths depending on the channels that your company is marketing through. So I would say writing is a very, very important thing to start with. And then I definitely would recommend courses because content marketing is um it's it's very, very wide. So as you do the courses, um, you start understanding the foundations. Then you start understanding the different branches, and then you might start with writing or video creation and find what is interesting to you. But that education of how everything that you're doing matters is very important so that you have a solid foundation. I think the next important thing is creating a portfolio because nobody is going to hire you if they don't see the work that you are doing. So it's very it's a non-negotiable. If let's say writing, for example, is where your strength is, and I always go back to writing because that's what I know. You should I always tell people that I mentor, I'm talking to, okay, you don't have any samples. You know what? T pick an industry that you're interested in, maybe fashion, then take a topic, what is X or how to do Y type of topics, right? And then create about 5 blog posts on that, post it on Medium or wherever, maybe a newsletter platform, LinkedIn. And then when you're looking for work, direct people to there because if I'm hiring you, I need to see samples of what you're doing. Then I would say join a community. A lot of times, especially now in content, the opportunities that exist are opportunities that people direct you to. You might not see good opportunities on a job board just because in the industry is in a flux because of AI. Yes. So
I
it's very
agree.
important. Yeah, it's very, very important to join communities because you will grow with people, you will access information and you will probably be able to be light years ahead of people because you might even meet mentors in those communities.
Community.
I can share a couple of communities, by the way,
Yes.
with you so that you can share with your audience as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But I wanted to
Yeah.
just like summarize what you just said, which is like the first thing is recognizing what kind of content you like to create. So if
Mm-hmm.
for someone who likes to create like long form written content, even short form poetry,
Yeah. Yeah.
like whatever it is that you will need, you like to
Mhm.
create, recognize that, and then make sure you have samples of that. And that's why you talked
Yeah.
about make sure you have a portfolio, but also taking
Yeah.
courses and establishing yourself with a base from where you can grow is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of
Mm-hmm.
course, joining communities is another thing. That sounds amazing. At the end, actually, I'm going to ask you for resources and communities. So
Sure.
we'll do that as part of this call as well. But thank you so
Yeah.
much for responding to that. Now let's talk about like the paths into content marketing. I would like to know your path specifically, actually, because I know people that have come from like engineering and are now in content marketing, and you know, people have very like varied paths into the space. Tell us how you got in, and tell us what I guess a path could look like if you wanted to do a more traditional content marketing trajectory.
So, oh, this is very interesting. I studied international studies in uni, which is basically just like politics, but on the like international level. I did not do like English. I don't have any communications degree. And a lot of people in my field do not. And that's because of two things. First off, content marketing, as long as you're able to communicate, you're able to write very well and create good content, and you have a very strategic mind, you will go far. And the industry in tech is very informal, so they're not all about certifications like can you bring us results or do you have results? Then second, the industry is fairly young, right? I think it rose with the internet and like it's still in its early stages. So there's no formalized path to it. It's it's just recently that people started offering content marketing as probably a course in uni. So don't worry. And let me tell you, if you even do something that is like very, very different from your traditional content marketing professional, right? Because a lot of us are arts people. There are a lot of journalists and like art majors there and all of that. If you do something very different, that gives you a chance to work in another industry. Let's say you do law, for example,
Yeah,
and there's some tech company that is providing some services like legal, like some solution for legal services. You are more likely to be in a place to write for said company. Engineering, you're more likely to be in a place to write for that type of field because you have that background knowledge. I
yeah,
tell people all the time, look, if you did something different, go and look for the industry that you specialized in and write for them. So
yeah.
that's the great about content marketing. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I
Mm.
think I will quote you on that. Like the tech space is very flexible. And
It
so
is.
most companies are not, high strung about, well, what degree did you have? And do you have an
Yeah.
MBA? And do you have an English
Yeah.
degree? Like that's not a very big consideration. The consideration is,
Hmm.
can you actually communicate value that you will add?
Exactly.
And once that is there, you'll be able to do it. So if you're listening and you're considering a career in content, honestly, come as you are, essentially,
Yeah, please.
is the
We need
advice.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there will be something for you. Okay, so let's talk about, for instance, interviewing, right? What are some of the KPIs or like the metrics or certain things that if you are trying to get into like a content role, you should make sure you mention that you're thinking about, because like you said, there has to be a direct strategic connection between your work. And so maybe you can talk about reach, but how does that reach turn into pipeline for sales? So what are some KPIs that content ends up being responsible for? And how can people who are trying to get into that space like demonstrate that understanding in an interview, for instance?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question because it varies company by company, industry by industry, but just in general sense. The main emphasis for content marketing over the past few years in terms of what we're measured by is the number of people that were able to attract to the company. Basically leads, right? Though right now in the industry, there's a conversation about us doing a lot more I don't know how to put it, but we're like, okay, we're not just here to bring you leads, okay? We can do a lot more. Don't put pressure on us for that because
Yeah.
it's getting to a point that is unsustainable. But for now, a lot of times when you are speaking to recruiters or you are talking to any decision maker, they want to know how you can help the business grow. And usually that's leads. But it could be other things. Sometimes it is even increasing customer satisfaction and retention because like content has a very strong role in doing that as well. Whether those are help guides, whether those are ranking for alternative to X software type of pools so that people don't run off to your competitors, things like that. It could also be increasing brand awareness. So something like reach, like you mentioned now, that can help with brand awareness because brand awareness can be people are not ready to buy, but when they're ready to buy, will be in their heads, then will be a likely option. So I've mentioned three, right, so far. Another thing is probably um, let me just go back to leads, right? So, these three things I mentioned are the most common. So, like when it even comes to leads, there are like different types of leads. There are the marketing qualified ones and the sales qualified ones. But let me not get too technical. So, within a company, you depending on what they need, you can mention like how the work you're going to do is either going to generate marketing qualified leads and or sales qualified leads. But as I said, it just depends industry to industry. Some places they have already even gotten like they have captured the existing market, so they're trying to expand, right? So though I'm not sure what the metric for that would be, right? So but your work might also be along those lines as well. So it's very broad. It's very
Yeah.
broad. But I gave the three strongest ones. Yeah.
No, I
Which
respect that. Sorry to cut you, but
yeah.
I respect the fact that even though it's such a broad field, you still are able to give us like some things that can get like our audience started. Because I think
Yeah.
most people feel that overwhelm. And it's good
Yeah.
because you're in there, so you kind of have a bit more grasp of context.
Hmm.
But when
Hmm.
people are coming in, it's your first interview, you're a bit overwhelmed about what can I say? What should I pull out of my hat? And so if
Yeah.
that's you, clearly these three things can come up for you. Leads, and this can be SQL, sales qualified leads, or MQLs,
Yeah.
marketing qualified leads. It can be customer retention, creating content that engages your existing customers or existing customers for the company you're interested in. And then brand awareness. I'm sure everyone listening to us has heard thought leadership. Now, that's something that
Yeah.
we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
It's content marketers that get companies into that position of authority in any
Hmm.
industry. Being
Yeah.
able to rank for certain keywords, being able to be quoted. Like float is quoted a lot when people are talking about any kind of project management. Like
Hmm.
being in that conversation, that's the kind of work
Yeah.
Stella will be doing, or work that you will be doing
Yes.
if you're the content marketer.
Yeah.
So if you're overwhelmed, steal these three tips and use that in your interview, and hopefully you can
Hmm.
connect with a very strategic hiring manager. Thank you so much for that. That's really, really
You're
good
welcome. Yeah.
that you helped us with that. Can you tell us any maybe two or three tools that people should start familiarizing themselves with if
Sure,
they're trying
sure.
to get into content?
Yes, so if you're trying to get into content, there's this concept called SEO, which is search engine optimization, which a lot of us are doing. It's changing right now, but it's still an important part of our work. And so I'm just going to mention like two SEO tools that you can use. And this is to learn keyword research and also analysis for whatever company you're doing. So Ahrefs has a free tool called Webmaster, which basically lets you access information about sites and how they are doing in terms of ranking. And also, I think it does let you do keyword research, though I need to, I can't, don't quote me on this, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
that's one too.
you have
And they even
access to
have a
paid ones, I
course.
think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's free. So you can just try it. There's even a course called I think writing for business where they can which that you can probably learn how to use the tool while taking the course, so it's like double win. You should definitely learn how to use um something like Grammarly for editing, because accuracy and correctness is very, very important. Most of us already use that. I guess, I'm sorry if it's just the right time me, but like I've been a Grammarly girl for years. So just being able to use a tool like that. And I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but ChatGPT and other AI writing to creation tools, and hear me out. It's not because you're going to use them to write or create your videos or come up with ideas. It's because right now companies are looking to be more efficient. And efficiency means like cutting down on some of this work that just takes a lot of your time. So you need to learn how to use it to maybe analyze a couple of pages and then draw possible ideas for a social media post, and not to go and use ChatGPT to write said social media post, but to use it to kickstart a lot of processes for you, or maybe even figure out how to improve a draft. So the way I use it is that I write, then I use it to edit my work. Like, oh, okay, this is the text I've written. Look at this. Are there gaps in my logic? Is there a problem with the structure? How can I make it stronger? Things like that. So using it as an assistant and not necessarily using it to do your job, because the issue we're having in the industry right now is that people are outsourcing to AI tools, and they're not outsourcing well.
Yeah.
Their prompts are terrible, they're not editing when they're done. So there's a lot of contention. So instead, use it to strengthen your work.
Yeah.
Um, yes, and you can also learn how to use I guess there's some keyword research tools that are free. So I'm just going to send a list of them
Yeah.
afterwards.
I
Let me
will
not
put
get
them
into that
in the
right now.
description
Yeah,
for everyone to
yeah, yeah,
have. But
yeah.
I agree with that actually. I also am a Grammarly girl. I like Grammarly a lot, but also
Yeah.
the ChatGPT and even other AI tools. I read something on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn earlier this week that talked about if you're a marketer right now and your go-to reaction is I hate AI. It's similar to you being in the past saying I hate the internet. It's here to stay.
Yes, it
And
is,
if you
unfortunately.
maximize it, it can really, really help your work.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah,
agree, learning how to use ChatGPT, other AI tools in a way that augments your work instead of replaces it. Because
yeah,
it's
exactly.
true, it can cut your time to work in half. People
Mm-hmm.
like if you have to write a blog post based on 20 interviews, ChatGPT can analyze that and draw out themes for you. And
Yeah,
you can then
yeah,
use that to, of course, when you want to write a quote, you still have to go back to the interview and get a quote for that thing. But the thematic
mm-hmm.
analysis, you don't have to spend 2 weeks on it. You can still be able to do that at a much like quicker
Exactly.
time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
It
agree.
can be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But please don't outsource your thinking to ChatGPT. I
Yes.
beg of you. Yes.
No, that's really good. I guess we already started talking about it, so let's just go into it. Resources,
Yeah.
courses, and anything that you think will help. Budding,
Um,
like Stella 4 years ago, what would you have told her to do? Yeah.
4 years ago, content marketing has changed so much, so I don't even know if I should be recommending what I learned there. But okay. You know what? Start with free resources. Some of this might be basic and a bit outdated because the industry is changing, but you can take let me not start with HubSpot. The Ahrefs course that I mentioned earlier, writing for business, please take that course. SEM Rush, also a keyword research tool, has a course. I would need to check. You know what? They have a lot of courses.
An
It's not just
academy.
one course. So you can just go. I think they have an academy. So
Yeah.
you just check there. It's free courses. Um, Google also has some courses that also come with certificates. So you can take Google's content marketing courses. In the industry, the HubSpot course, I can't believe I'm recommending this, but it holds a dear place in my heart. So even though some of the principles are outdated, it teaches you some fundamentals. So you can watch HubSpot's content marketing course, but please, as you're doing that, ensure that you are keeping in mind that this is 2024 and some of these fundamentals, some of the tactics have changed, but the fundamentals still remain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you can also, if you're into writing, there's this course which is also free by Julian Shapiro, a former founder in the tech industry. It's called The Writing Handbook, I believe. So it's very, very good. It can just help you do better when it comes to writing. Then Fenwick, there's a brand called Fenwick Media, I think. They have an email course that's also about writing that you can take. And yes, lots of writing resources because I am a writer who's now in
That's
content
really
marketing.
good. That's almost
Yeah.
8 writing resources. Who should
Yes.
people follow? What podcasts do you
Oh,
like? Um,
okay. Who should
I mean,
people
of course,
follow in
follow
the
Stella.
industry? Oh, yes. Please follow me. Stella Inabo at LinkedIn. Okay, so on LinkedIn rather, sorry. It depends. So if you want to learn about SEO, I would say you should follow Chima Memenje.
Yes.
She is yes, she's a Nigerian woman who has done amazing things in the
Who
SEO
is
community.
crushing it?
Yes, and she also actually has a community for people of color as well.
Who are freelancers,
You
right?
can, yes. So you can also follow Ooh, so the problem with this list that I'm trying to come up with on the spot, I'm really sorry. I should have crafted one. Can I send you a list of
Yeah,
people in?
that's all good.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
we'll
because
just put
on
it
the
in the
spot,
email.
yeah. And I want to make sure that it's like a lot of people of color or basically people who don't seem like they have a lot of
Far away.
representation in tech
Yeah.
because you know how the industry is. Yeah, so I will look for a list or rather I'll curate a list and then share it with you. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well,
Yeah.
th it's been really awesome learning about
Mhm.
like what tools, what courses for people to take, who to follow, and all of that. Like in the last minute or so, if there's anything that you wanted to tell the community, it's basically people who are trying to get into the community. What would you like to tell them to keep in mind?
I'd say that be good at your work. Be really good at your work. Whatever you choose, please master the fundamentals and then push yourself like crazy because the technology industry is very, very hard to exist in, right? Because things are always changing. And even though, yes, sometimes unfairly, even the best people are in situations where there are layoffs and everything. And what I've noticed is that if you're really, really good and you're great at strategizing, career moves and different things like that, you always rise to the top. So it's very important that your work is impeccable so that people will come, they're knocking at your door because best believe you are good at your work no matter where you are. People will pay you. People will look for you and they'll pay you. And I'd also say make friends along the way, people who are above you and people who are like in the same level with you, and even people who are coming up too, because one thing I realize is there is I don't want to say it's not nepotism per se, but like as you grow with people, as they know you, they are very likely to bring you in on things. And
Yes.
the way technology is, it's a lot of like recommendations because we're not like other industries where you have to show certifications and things like that. It's like, who do I know that does this really well that I can bring on this project right now and they'll turn it around? So build relationships because the people that you are searching for freelance roles with right now can head an agency in the future.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's great opportunity for you. Yeah.
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much
Mhm.
for spending your Saturday
Thank
afternoon with
you.
us. And
Yeah.
if you are watching this, of course, go and follow Stella, but I'll also put her details in the description so that you can follow the link and follow her and interact with her. Thank you so, so much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.